Welcome back, everyone, to our next episode of the Growth Seminar Podcast. I want to call it. That sounds pretty nice, man. Today, joined again by our personal finance optimization expert, Joel. Joel, man, great to have you here.
Great to have me here. Yes, that's true. No, just kidding. I'm looking forward as always. And yeah, let's see what this podcast will bring to you.
Man, this is always fun with Joel. We had him already on the show once and it was super fun. So definitely check out this introductory video. There's more information about him. And also check out his video on the 3 bank account system, which is in the comments. Check it out. It's really important to understand and have the foundation about personal finance, which we're going to talk about in this video. Because today it is about investment alternatives and possibilities. What can I do in order to come closer to financial freedom? So Joel, could you maybe elaborate on all the possibilities and things that are out there which I could potentially do in order to start to invest?
Sure, of course. I can tell you about everything. The one question I have to ask at this point is, you have several years of time, so I can tell you about all the possibilities all in this world. For sure, there are so much possibilities, but I can break it down a little bit so we can understand in general which possibilities we have. So in the first place, I want to differentiate between monetary values and the so-called real values. What do I mean by that? Monetary values are basically all investments where you invest money and you get a fixed interest in return. So for example, it's a bank savings plan or a fixed deposit account at the bank, or government bonds or fixed income securities. All those investments are monetary values. So the thing with those investments, mostly if there's no crisis, they are really safe. So mostly you will get your money out again, you will get the fixed interest, it's all fine. But if there's a crisis or even worse, hyperinflation, then there's a high risk of losing that money, or the worth of the money is sinking because the currency maybe isn't that worth anymore, and so there's a high chance that you lose the money or you cannot buy anything with this anymore. So the alternative to the monetary values on the one hand side are the real values, how they are called. Real values are basically investments where you have something behind that you can touch. For example, real estate property or gold, or for example, shares, because that's you buy a part of the company. The company has properties and like cars and stuff like that. It's all secured with some real values in behind. So these real values, they are much likely to survive a crisis or a hyperinflation because, for example, take a bread, right? Bread is a real value if you want so. And if you have a crisis or hyperinflation, the people still want to eat. So someone is willing to pay for this bread so you can eat it. And if 1 euro isn't worth €1 anymore, for example, let's say just 10 cents, then he will not buy it for €1, he will buy it for 10 euros. So you, as the owner of the bread, you're secure. You can it still has its value. So for this purpose, real values are like they're much safer in crisis or in hyperinflation situations. And of course, you can make a lot of money out of it if you do it right.
So, man, now I feel really overwhelmed. Like, you mentioned monetary values, you mentioned fixed values, but what should I invest now? What should I do, man? Like, what is the investment thing I should really start on right now?
Yeah, that's the question. And it's really hard, like, to tell you, do that, do this, do that, because there's no such like template that fits to every person. You have to ask yourself several questions, and after those questions, you can like make a plan how you want to structure your investments, because it's like a very individual thing. Every person has individual goals and wishes, and another like a risk tolerance. You have different situations in regarding the money that is already there, or for example, things like how much credits you would get to invest, for example, for real estate or something like that. So the questions you have to ask yourself are mainly over what period of time you want to invest. That's very crucial because most of the investments, they need time. There are very few investments that you can use over a very short period of time and that make a good profit, you know. So mostly you need time, and you have to be sure that the money you put in those investments that need time, that you don't have to kill those investments out of an emergency situation. So the money has to stay in there over that period of time. Otherwise you could risk lose the money or make a huge loss. So that's the first question. Second question, how risk tolerant are you? If you invest, for example, in shares, they have a lot of ups and downs, and then you read in a newspaper that the whole market crashes and everything is going down, and the worst thing ever is to invest in shares. In this situation, when everyone panics, you have to stay cool. You have to be calm and say, hey, okay, they go down now and they will go up again. But if you're a person that cannot just do that, almost gets a heart attack when something like this happens, you shouldn't invest in shares, for example. And the third question is, how much money do you already have, like the money on your bank right now that you can invest? And as well, how much money can you invest monthly, for example, on a regular basis? Those are relevant questions as well. And the last one is, of course, that you never put all your eggs in just one basket. So you have to know about the possibilities, and then you should invest in those that fits to your personality best, and diversify them a little bit. So if I should give you a step-by-step formula, I would start with the first step: have enough money on the bank account, on your savings account, just on the bank, you know, money that you don't need, money that is for emergency situations. That should be 3 to 6 monthly wages. You should definitely have that money on the back end, because if there is a situation where you need money really quick, it is the worst thing possible to kill your investments that need the time, because you will always make a loss. And it's better for your gut feeling if you have that money beside, because you know, okay, if there's an emergency situation, I don't have to worry, I have the money on the side, and so it's just a good feeling. So the second step is you should use all your resources you have. Your resources are the first thing, your money on the bank account that you can really use for investments. Secondly, your monthly income, especially the part that is free to invest. And the third part is your credit worthiness. There are 3 ways to make money in this world. The first one is you change your money for, you change your time for money. It's you go to work. Second one is you invest the money you already have. Third one is you use your credit worthiness to use other people's money to make more money out of it. So you should use all those resources. And the third point is diversification. There's some major things you should focus in the beginning. You should focus on the beginning. Those are like shares, funds, ETFs, gold, maybe real estate, or like classics such as pension insurances or stuff like that. Make sure you know something about all these kinds of investments, at least the most important parts, and then diversify your money on those investments.
Well, perfect, man. This already gives such an amazing overview of all there is out there in terms of investment. Great for that, man. And I think as a final point, what could you give to our viewers that they should maybe also take away when kind of starting off their investment portfolio? What would you recommend there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a cool structure. There's a system that you can use for structuring your investments. So you can see your whole investment such like a soccer team. A soccer team, you know, if you just have only defense players, you'll never win a game. If you just have strikers, you will score maybe a lot of goals, but you'll get a lot, maybe a lot more goals in the own goal than you score in the front. So maybe you lose as well. So you should structure it like a soccer team. You should have a defense, you should have a midfield, and you should have an offense. That could be, for example, in the defense, like low risk investments, just like gold, government bonds, money market funds, low risk funds, all those investments that are low risk. And of course, you get lower return, but it's just for the security, so that your money is, or part of your money is just safe. That's your defense. That should be around 30% of your investment, of all your investments. Then you should have like a midfield that is like a medium risk, a little bit higher return. It should be like 40% of the money that you invest. And there you could use, for example, real estate, good diversified funds, ETFs and stuff like that. And then you should always have some strikers, like the offense. And there's diversification really important, because some of the strikers, some of the high performers, they maybe will die. So you will lose all the money that you put in there, but there are other ones that will strike a hell of goals, so they will make a lot of money for you. So take the rest of your money, like the rest of the 30% that you have, and put it in like high risk investments, like emerging markets, or participations in companies, and diversify them like to 5 to 10 different investments. So you make sure if like 1, 2, or 3 of them just die, it's not really horrible, because if just 1 or 2 of them performs really well, you will get a really high return. And so you can make sure that you first are secure in total, so you don't lose, you never lose all your money. Secondly, you make like a solid profit. And with the strikers, if you're a little bit lucky or have a good diversification, you can like really good profit on top. So that's a structure you can use to structure your investments and make sure that you will get wealthy one day.
Perfect, man. Like with this balanced portfolio, nothing can go wrong anymore, man. Really love it. And yeah, we have heard about the different alternatives they are, and we're definitely going to cover them in future videos in more depth and more detail. So stay tuned for that. That should be it for now. Joel, thanks for having you here. Great pleasure as always. And you guys, seeing you on the next video. Cheers, guys.
GG.